Okay guys, we're outside of City Hall on Broadway, so if you're in the area, definitely come on down and support. Not sure how long they're going to be out here, but at least for an hour. And if it's like some of the events that took place over outside Cuomo's office, could be an hour and a half, could be 2 hours. In solitary confinement, basically. Yeah, come on down. I'll add more information later on, just because when I do this for the stream, it doesn't allow me to put all the information I'd like to put in the stream. So, and a lot of you watching probably already know surrounding the issue, but there's always more to know, and also have an idea of who are the players in the fight going on currently.
Scott's got the curly hair? Yeah. Okay, I'll find it. Thank you.
Yeah, this is going out over Facebook too. It's supposed to be, so if it is going out over Facebook and anyone is currently watching it, Nancy or anyone, give a thumbs up or just let me know it's coming through. Okay, thank you, Alan. And Alan, I'm probably going to give you a call later or a message later.
You're like...
Hello?
Okay, they're getting ready now.
Peace and blessings, everyone. How is everyone?
Great.
Are we really?
Yes.
All right.
I woke up not happy about solitary.
That's where I was leading this. So we're happy to wake up this morning, right? We're happy to be free this morning, right? We're happy to be healthy going through such a serious pandemic, right? But we are unhappy because of what?
Solitary.
I didn't hear you. Because of what?
Solitary confinement.
So today we are unhappy and we're standing outside of City Hall because of what?
Solitary confinement.
The mayor needs to do what?
Stand solitary confinement.
The speaker needs to do what?
And solitary now.
Excuse me, I didn't hear you. So today in 2021 in New York City, such a liberal city, aren't we?
Hey, Jack. Hey, Lisa.
We want to do what?
In solidarity.
So, hi, I'm Minister Dr. Victoria A. Phillips. Most people call me Miss V. Miss V, right? And so today, as part of the Jails Action Coalition and Halt Solitary, we are here to urge New York City Council to truly end solitary confinement in New York City. While the mayor claimed to end solitary, the city's fake ban will include locking people alone in a cell 23 hours a day, sometimes even indefinitely. This is solitary confinement. And what do you want to end?
Solitary confinement.
What do we expect to end in 2021?
Solitary confinement.
So, the mayor's plan will cause tremendous harm, worsen safety, and will violate the recently enacted Halt Solitary Confinement Act, state law that is binding in New York City. With us today, we have blown up pictures of the cells that people will be locked alone in during so-called out-of-cell time. So take a look to my left and my right. Does this look like out-of-cell time? No. Okay, I can't hear you, New York City. Does this look like out-of-cell time?
No.
So what do we want?
End solitary confinement.
There's a reason I keep repeating that, right? Right. Because if you want to break a habit or you want to make a habit, what do? Repeat, right? So tell 250 Broadway, tell City Hall, what do we want?
End solitary confinement.
When do we want it?
Now.
We are excited to be joined today by some of our champions in the state legislature who worked tirelessly for years to get the Halt Solitary Confinement Act passed and signed into law. Can we give them a round of applause? We are excited to also be joined by our champions in the City Council as we look to them and their colleagues to step up, rectify the city's fake ban on solitary, and pass legislation to truly end solitary once and for all in our great city. Can we give them a round of applause? So I don't want to stand up here and hold too much of your time. I want to just jump right into this. Are y'all ready to hear from some amazing people? Yeah. So I had to rearrange some things, and I think I still have to keep little things rearranged. So I'm going to call up to you first, Victor Payne. Come on, Victor.
Thank you, Dr. V. Good morning, everybody. In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. And I would first like to start off with, it was deplorable and reprehensible to see and hear our mayor last night on Inside City Hall to say that solitary has been ended and has been reformed. I say to you, he told a lie and it is a deception. Solitary has not ended. The Board of Corrections have not ended solitary confinement. It is a lie. I say to you as a healing survivor of solitary confinement myself, to say that you have ended and reformed solitary by building an adjacent cell to the cell that you're normally held in for 23 hours a day, and to say that you have created an alternative for people being locked down for 23 hours a day, and then saying that this is the cell that will be used for your 1 hour out of cell time. It's a lie. It's a deception. And we have been lied to. We should be outraged that this is what they have done. This is what they have made the public believe, and they continue to say that they have reformed and that solitary does no longer exist. When I can tell you, nothing has changed except the name. The game stays the same. We, as people, as constituents, as voters, as taxpayers, should be outraged that they continue to try to make us believe that they have changed something and they've done nothing. And they continue to do nothing. So we are here today to say to our elected, to our city council, do something. Do what you were elected to do, and that is to make sure that people will get fair and humane treatment while in our prisons, especially those who are affected by solitary confinement and 23 hours being locked down. So I say to you today that we are here to say loudly, this is unacceptable. You should stop saying that it's ended because it is a lie, it is a deception, and I think that it is illegal to allow you all to keep saying what you're saying. Because if it was one of us, we would be in jail. So I would say to you the same thing, that what you're saying is illegal and is criminal and it should no longer be allowed to exist. End solitary now. What do we want? End solitary now. What do we want?
End solitary now.
I thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Can we give him another hand, please? 'Cause I just want to say it's not easy. Even though Victor makes it look easy, it's not easy to come out here often and repeat your truth, especially when your truth is impacted with so much trauma, right? So can we actually be kind to those who open up and tell their truth?
Yes.
What do we want?
End solitary confinement.
Some of us want to end solitary confinement, some of us want to end solitary confinement now. We're both on the same page though, right? That's what I'm saying. So you can say it differently in New York City. Feel free to say it how you need to say it. But understand that mission, that message must not change. We are going to end solitary confinement in what year?
2021.
In what year?
2021.
In what year?
2021.
So now I want to bring to you someone who's super special to us this day. Senator Salazar.
Julia.
Thank you, Ms. B. Hello, everyone. First, I want to say thank you to the council members who have joined us here today. We deeply appreciate you showing your support and speaking out. It is unacceptable that the current plan from the city would violate the spirit and the letter of the new halt solitary confinement law. Earlier this year, in the spring, we finally passed the Halt Solitary Confinement Act. This was a campaign, as many of you know intimately. It took several years of relentless advocacy to finally pass the Halt Solitary Confinement Act. And the last thing that we should be doing is taking a step back from the full implementation of HALT. We passed the HALT Solitary Confinement Act because we want to truly change. We want to make sure that we truly end the long-term use of solitary confinement in our entire state, in all of our jails and prisons and correctional facilities in New York. We don't pass legislation so that we can just pat ourselves on the back, so that we can say we do something. We pass it so that we can actually do something, and do something meaningful. And that's why we're here today. We want to make sure that the implementation is meaningful, that it's true. Last week, I was in Western New York. I visited Attica Correctional Facility and Albion Correctional Facility. And at Attica, when I was there, even though they knew I was coming, there were 77 men in SHU. That's outrageous. And we're still in the implementation period of HALT, but I expect that it is going to be very difficult and necessary to monitor the implementation in these facilities, in maximum security facilities, in some of the most egregiously inhumane, frankly, conditions in facilities across the state. We don't expect New York City to do what they do at Attica. And that is why we are here today. We are demanding better. We are demanding that any plan that the city puts forward in terms of implementing HALT, that it is fully compliant. This is not out of cell time. This is not meaningful out of cell time. The cruelty of solitary confinement is the isolation. It isn't just the size of the space that someone is in, it is that they cannot meaningfully engage with other people. That is the cruelty of it. That is the harm of solitary confinement. It is well documented that when someone is held in long-term solitary confinement, the impacts on their mental health, it exacerbates mental illness where it exists. It causes mental illness where it didn't previously exist. It is torture. Thank you all. I cannot thank you enough. It is very encouraging to see such a large crowd here. I know that there are other important announcements being made right at this moment as we speak. But thank you all for choosing to stand with us and to continue to demand this. We will not stop until it's done. Thank you.
So let's give her another hand as well. So she said something that's really important, right? Well, she said a lot of things that was really important, but I want to highlight a couple of them. I don't want to take away. I want to highlight a couple of them. Solitary is inhumane. Solitary is torture. I want you to really think about that for a second. It impacts your mental health, she said. What have we been talking about for the last year and a half in this nation? Mental health. How being stuck at home harms you. It impacts your psyche. Many of people are falling into deep bouts of depression and don't have the proper tools to aid themselves. My God. And yet we still throw people in cells 23 hours a day. And let me be clear, because I've worked on Rikers Island in nursing, doing cognitive behavioral therapy, and at times some form of monitoring. And let me be very clear. Some people do not get that hour time out of cell. So let's not overlook that. Many people are not taken to their medical appointments, aren't given their medications when they're supposed to. There are even visits and all types of things that we would expect them to be given, they are not. And the excuse is they are not worthy. But who is not worthy? Who is not worthy? We are on domestic soil. That means every one of us is worthy of our human rights. Every one of us is worthy of compassion. Every one of us is worthy to have more than this be out of cell time. We don't even treat animals like this in our country. How dare we treat a human being like this? I started working on Rikers with the youth in 2012 doing CBT. The first thing I noticed was how barbaric we treat our young adults, our youth, and expect them to return to community and be productive adults and become productive citizens. I say that because, I got you, Kelsey. I say that because I'm leading up to my introduction, and he deserves this. One man decided to take on New York City and the Department of Corrections and said, no more. I care about our youth. I care about our young adults. We're going to end solitary. I might not be able to do it for everybody, but we're going to at least do it for 16 and 21-year-olds because our youth and our young adults deserve a future. Their brains aren't even completely developed until 24, 25. So how dare we put this type of trauma on them? How dare we? And then you know what? He got that bill pushed through with City Council, and some of the members are here with him today. How awesome is that? But it's not enough. So now we are back to make sure solitary is ended for everyone. Because in 2015, DOC opened up solitary by another name called ESH. And now we are here to say it is not happening again. So I want to introduce you to the sponsor of this bill, Councilmember Drew.
Thank you very much, Ms. B. It's great to be here to support this effort. And you're right, you know, since I was elected to the New York City Council in 2010, almost or over 11 years ago, almost 12 years now, ending solitary confinement has been something that I've really fought for. And I was challenged by David Rothenberg, my friend at the Fortune Society, who told me that if I want to do something to affect criminal justice reform, end solitary confinement, because that is the one most harmful thing that is done to those who are locked up, especially on Rikers Island. I was brought to this issue also because I have a very good friend who was locked up in solitary confinement on Rikers Island for possession of a pack of cigarettes. He spent 120 days in solitary, went upstate, was released, came back down, reoffended, and when he went to Rikers, because he hadn't done the extra 30 days, they put him back into solitary confinement, even though he had not recommitted any problem on Rikers Island. That's what we used to call time owed, and some people here may remember time owed. We were able to get rid of that. We were able to get rid of youth in solitary confinement. And now we need to ensure that nobody is put into solitary confinement. I see I have my minute, I could go on and on. But my piece of legislation, which was heard under our chair, Keith Powers' committee, is waiting to be amended. And we need to see what that amended piece of legislation looks like. So I'm working with the speaker, I'm working with folks in the city council to see what that looks like. We need 14 hours minimum out of cell time. That is the basic minimum standard that we would be willing to accept. So I am here to say the battle continues, the struggle continues, and we will fight until at least the end of my term on December 31st to ensure that solitary confinement is truly ended in New York City. Thank you very much.
No more suicide.
Yes, no more suicides. And I always like to speak things into existence, so we're going to get it done before he leaves term in December, but not because we're going to get it done. Like, it's not if. We are going to get it done. And to encourage you some more, I want to bring up Senator Rivera.
Good morning, everyone. Now, there's a couple of things that the folks here in the city, and I'm glad that we're joined by some of our colleagues in the city council, understand that some other folks don't seem to understand. When we said we wanted to end solitary confinement in the state of New York, we meant it. Not just everywhere in the state, that's not the city of New York, but everywhere in the state, particularly in the city of New York. Most folks who are incarcerated are in jails right now are where? In the city of New York. So we have to make sure that we do this everywhere. Now, there's a couple of things that we have been able to achieve at the state level, not only passing halt solitary. I will take 1 second to underline something we were able to get done, which seems minor, but I think is actually a big thing. There's a bill that was signed by the governor, who might not be governor for very long, but that's good. But he got to sign this bill before we get him out of there, to actually change the term of inmate into incarcerated person everywhere in state law. We got that done. And that is, why did we seek to do that? We seek to do that because we understand that people who are incarcerated are people first. That's right. And to refer to them as things in a dehumanizing fashion is to say they're not us. They're not our sisters, they're not our brothers, they're not our neighbors. No. They are our neighbors. They are our brothers, they are our sisters. And that is why we pass halt solitary, because we want to end solitary confinement in the entire state of New York. Because it is torture. And it must end. So I'm glad to join my colleagues in the state that we passed halt solitary. We need to pass fair and timely parole, which we will hopefully do next year, as well as elder parole. So we still have some work to do at the state level, but for the moment, since we passed it, we kind of mean it. Let's end solitary confinement in the entire state of New York, particularly in the city of New York. Thank you.
I told you he was going to encourage you, right? So now I want to keep it moving right along, and I want to introduce you to someone who's pretty dope. I don't think he knows that I think he's as dope as he is. He's actually actually the chair of the Criminal Justice Committee at City Council. And so I've come across him quite